Ah, your music, emotion, John White. Oh. John White. Mm. Make a music, make a motion. Hit me, push and why? Ah. All right, all right. Hey, motion. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm just preparing the deck. Okay, thank you for this. I'm just preparing. As you can tell by the setup, we're about to do a reading. All right. I'm channeling this message because we're about to enter into a new moon. I believe it's in Gemini. Uh, and I just want everyone to just start off this new cycle with a clean guidance. Okay. You're realizing how cyclic your life is as you're moving through your soul progression, your soul's journey. You need to learn your particular lessons, incorporate them, and then ascend from this place. So when I say ascend, guys, I mean you are experiencing your life, gaining understanding for soul progression. Okay? I'm not saying, because you are going to leave this vessel behind at the end of your life, and then your consciousness is going to be placed in a certain realm, okay, of existence. All right? Where it could, your consciousness will be held in another state of existence. Okay, so we're here physically to gain the understanding, kind of like if you were a child and you're learning different things, how to move, what's good, what is beneficial, what is destructive. Okay, and from there, you just kind of, once you leave your vessel behind, again, your consciousness is going to be in a state or realm in which it can be embodied again if it so chooses, if your soul chooses to do so. Okay, but the reason why I'm doing this reading right now is just to keep things clear, keep things just clear, and for you to be able to see where your trajectory is. That's what we're working on right now. What are the things that we have in our blind spots, maybe in our shadow, that we're not consciously, it's not conscious in our forefront, and so we're looking for clarity based in truth. Okay, any reality that is built upon the foundation of illusion are crumbling. Like, there's only a few, I guess, frequencies trying to grasp on for life, but at this point in your journey, you realize the value of actually incorporating the truth in your experience, right? Whether it be your authentic expression, or making sure that anything that you're building on has the foundation of truth, and being comfortable with the truth, right? And not just clinging to a lie or an illusion just because you don't want to face the reality of oneself. Okay? Yeah. One of the most pivotal parts in my own personal journey was being comfortable with the truth. Regardless if it was negative, positive, it always helped me just progress and evolve when I was able to embrace the truth. Right? Because even if it was a negative truth, then I knew how to move. At least it was clear. Right? I knew what options were actually available to me, and what was actually designed for me to, continue on. Right? Um, so on this channel, the truth is extremely important. It's extremely important in everything that we build and everything that we do. Okay? And so much so that we love the truth. We love when we hear the truth, even if it's something that hurts us. or hurts our feelings. Okay. All right. So in the beginning of this, I was listening to Coffee's Tiny Desk. It's one of those timeless tiny desks. Okay. Very important. I also was listening to Michael Tedja, Higher Power. Okay, and it also reminded me that frequency and resonance is what is the connection point for everything in your life. Okay, when you realize that you're creating your reality on a day-to-day basis based off of your own resonance, where you're finding comfort. So if you like to believe in lies, or if you like chaos, if you love chaos, you're going to see more of that. Okay. At some point you will get tired. At some point you're going to be like, I am shifting out of an old state of being, but we don't leave any past consciousness with the idea that it's less than us or anything like that. We separate always within love, always. Okay. It's not a point of comparison of like the new you versus the old you. They're all part of you, right? They're just different stages that's required for you to gain particular understanding. And you're not the first one to walk this walk. Okay. Maturity comes with time, lessons, experience. Okay. And so we don't chastise our old versions of ourselves. We don't chastise the youth that are also coming in to learn and grow. Right. We just give guidance where they need be. If they don't want to accept it, eventually it will be, they're creating their own reality. So eventually they'll understand the wisdom in the words that, and the wisdom in the words of your truth, the truth that you're sharing with them. Okay. Eventually. That's with everybody. That's not, it's not a war on generations or war on genders or anything like that. And I think I was speaking about that in another video, which I think I could have executed more clearly, but the idea of like this consciousness of verses, right? It's either this or that. Men do this, women do that. Millennials do this, and Generation X does that, right? We're getting away from all this kind of things that are just unnecessary. Can you notice differences? Absolutely. But what you got to be mindful of demonizing anybody, right? Or setting limitations on them based off of circumstances in which they were born. For example, their gender or their sex or their environment, right? It's not nature versus nurture. It's both. Both things have to come together in order to make you who you are today. Okay? That is very important for understanding. All right? So even when we're looking at past generations and the criticisms that we may have for them, or even future generations, the criticisms that you have for them, it is toward the goal of what can help us, period. Right? What is the goal? Right? And how can we get there? And then also not getting too attached to everyone's individual journey, that if they don't do exactly what you think is right to bring forth success, you gotta do one of these. Okay. Right? Because everybody has their own soul journey. And when you're reliant on a higher frequency or a higher power that's orchestrating everything, which does so without your conscious awareness or not, like you don't have to believe in it. It just exists. Okay, because everyone's following a particular frequency from that source, right? Whether it's telling them to go do this thing or don't do that thing, okay, they're all operating as one. Okay, so your judgment, your condemnation is not required. Okay, but if someone is there and you want to offer wisdom, you can, but if you cannot force them to accept it. All right. If you're being called to help or do anything like that, you can say it, but there's nothing, you don't get attached to the outcome or their actions. Right. You just focus on your integrated wisdom and allow God to do the rest, because we don't play God in other people's lives. Okay. We just offer words of wisdom based off our own experiences where we can, and hopefully it can help. That's it. Keep it nice and clean. Okay. I also want to mention there was a video that I had about a year ago. This is when I was living in the jungle. I love that time. Where I said that when someone is operating in a state of lack and then they're demanding other people to love them through their lows, and I said that um, it's that you don't even love yourself there, so it's impossible for you to for others to love you there. Now, I think I could have worded that better, even though I'm not sure my exact wordage, but I just want to make sure that this is clear from that understanding. It's not that you cannot be loved during your low cycles. You're always loved, period. Okay? My point was that you will not be able to receive the love that you're not giving to yourself. Okay? Because in the shadow, there's an entity there that if you have not given yourself the thing that you believe that you're lacking, if someone attempts to give it to you, you will one either make them your godhead, which is it never ends well. Okay, or you may even demonize them because you won't be able to receive it. Whatever love that they're giving, you will not be able to see it with a clear lens because for yourself, you're moving in a state of, your frequency is of lack. Okay? So where you can appreciate one person, like, oh, thank you, because right now my plate is overfilled. Okay, and I'm trying to be this and that for everybody else, but I've been neglecting myself, and maybe someone noticed and they give a helping hand. Okay. In that exchange, right, you could go two ways. You could either appreciate it or you can again demonize it. All right. Now, in the appreciation, you also got to be mindful not to elevate them beyond your standpoint, because honestly, God sends people to help people when they're trying to help themselves. I promise you that. Right? Like I said, answered prayers. You could be praying for something and you don't even know who is going to be the one delivering that prayer to you. It could be a complete stranger. It could be someone that you know. You understand what I'm saying? It has to do with resonance and where the people around you are resonating at. If they're listening to that higher frequency, that higher power that's saying, hey, this person needs help. Okay? Or, hey, go walk down the street. And then maybe you meet somebody that needed your frequency at that time. Okay? Your resonance at the time. Okay? Whether to give them something, could be a word. It could be you just pick something up like, hey, you forgot this. Little things like that. That's how God moves through everybody. Regardless of race, regardless of sex, regardless of any of that other stuff that requires a lot of thinking and contemplating, just being a vessel and understand that you're always experiencing God at many different levels of existence. That's it. All right. So where you're operating on lower frequencies, or again, the ones that are below the frequency of love, the ones that kind of keep you trapped in lack frequency, right? When you get stuck there, it's harder for you to be able to receive, okay? Because you're constantly maybe overthinking, being impulsive, unable to receive the love that is just always there, waiting, right? It's us who block our own blessings sometimes by the way that we think, the way that we perceive things. All right? So, and also not trusting. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing that that I have found benefit in working on a day-to-day basis. Okay? Allowing internal meditation so you can know what calls to answer and which calls that you are not aligned with, which opportunities to say yes to, which opportunities you're not aligned with. All right? So, all of this is what I wanted to say today. But without further ado, let me take a sip of my tea and let's get into this reading. I'm getting a lot of good positive energy so far, just even by the shuffle and what cards are standing out. So we are going to continue. There was also something about transmuting negative energy into positive things for yourself, because everything is just energy, right? And when you're able to overcome negative things that are designed to try to, test your spirit to see if you're going to keep this trapping low, or have you noticed already that when negative things happen to you, it is actually a calling for you to step into something new, a new state of being, and not stay low, right? Don't Not allowing the negative forces of the world to keep you in a state of depression or keep you low. All right, things can happen, and you can definitely feel the energy of it, and allowing it to transmute it, but not letting it get stuck there any longer. All right, once you start really doing like healing inner child work and stuff, you move better. You move through life with a better understanding. So things can't really get you. Those of us who have graduated from certain levels of trauma at very earlier stages of life, we are able to process a little bit quicker. Once we get all of those, when we shake off all of that stuff, once we gain the understanding and we realign ourselves, we're able to face adversity with a cleaner heart and a cleaner mind, right? And establish boundaries accordingly. All right. I wish that for everybody. Okay. All right. Let me take a pause. Oh, shit. All right. I guess we got a lot of different energies floating around today. The sky is really clear and there's a lot of stars out. So I'm hoping this message comes out as super clear as possible. I'm just going to lower the music down a little bit. I'm going to do the prayer so I can open up the portal. Travel my timeline. All right. Thank you, God, creator of all things known and unknown. Please guide my vessel to deliver this message on the highest possible frequency for the divine alignment for all those involved. Divine wisdom, power, and glory and honor all those who have come before me. You're divinely respected and protected from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. Thank you. Oh, shit. Divine line. All right. All right, guys. Let's get into it. All right. We're going to be using... we're going to be using the John Holland Psychic Tarot. All right. I already got Deception and Envy on the board. All right. You hear what I'm saying? All right. Okay. So we're going to keep that, which is the Seven of Swords. We also have... Should I take this? How much? All right. Let's take it all. All right. So we also have the Temptation card, which is the Major Arcana card, which is the Devil card, right? Avoiding temptations, right? And we also have Spiritual Strength, which is the Nine of Wands in the traditional tarot. And then we also have the Seven of Wands, which is Stand Your Ground. We're gonna keep going with this reading. All right. Travel your timeline. All right. So this is going to be the collective reading for the new moon in Gemini. All right. So off the rip, where we got the Spiritual Strength here, which is showing me that any battle that you're facing right now, your spiritual body is what's going to be shifting. You just need to make sure that you're staying in a meditation and connected. So like, again, you know when to move, you know when to shake. All right. And you're also avoiding any temptations, including negative thinking. Okay. Including negative thinking. You need to your time, energy, and focus has to do with you creating the reality that you want to experience. This way, it doesn't matter who is lying in your vicinity. It doesn't matter who is envious of you in your energy field. You're going to be able to stand your ground. Okay. Mainly because you're connected to your higher self right now. Okay. And focusing on the things that you need to do. What are your passions? What is it that you want to create? Okay. The temptation in this particular situation is being distracted with the lives of others, being distracted with things that you cannot control. Okay. So averting your energy, time, energy, and attention from portals that don't serve you. Okay. So if that means that you need to get off of social media for a little bit because this could be you too, like, you know, like looking at other people's lifestyles, comparing and contrasting, you lack nothing. You're creating your reality just as much as everybody else that's creating their reality. Okay? And we're even happier. We are happy when we see people that are creating successfully. Because the truth be told is that you're always creating something. All right? So even the people who are experiencing turmoil, consistent negativity, that is what they are creating. All right? No one here is, God doesn't have a hierarchy. Right? We just try our best to create consciously, intentionally. Okay? So we're going to think positive about this cycle because your higher self is saying that they're doing all of the heavy lifting. You just got to make sure you stay grounded and connected. That's it. Right? There could be a lot of people wearing masks. Again, we're just talking about the illusions, right? When they build a foundation of reality based on an illusion, envy is just part of that energy, right? Those that are able to walk in the truth, be confident in the truth, right? It is a superpower, okay, in some states of existence, okay? Because some people rather cling to an illusion, cling to a lie in order to, it's a temptation, I guess, to feed the egoic identities or to have this illusion of control when really and truly you're co-creating with everything around you, okay? Your will be done. Their will can only be done in your world if you allow it. All right? This is why we have boundaries. This is why if you're projecting a reality that is not in cohesion with the reality that I'm projecting, we must separate. We will not be able to live in each other's world cohesively because it doesn't align. They're contradictory. Okay? So you got to be mindful of that. I was just talking to one of my friends, and we were talking about that. For example, if you have a friend that you think highly of, that you see the beauty in, you see that they're able to create these beautiful realities. They could be very artistic, and in your world they're amazing. But in their inner world, they drag themselves down. They speak negatively about themselves. These are contradicting realities. Okay? And vice versa. If you think highly of yourself, if you love yourself, if you genuinely enjoy yourself, those around you that don't want to paint that storyline with you or think or want to contradict that main storyline that you have going for yourself cannot exist in the same reality with you. It's impossible. Okay? So again, when cycles keep going like this and certain storylines get repeated in your mind, right? Separation is naturally to occur because the two frequencies are not existing in the same plane. Okay? So for example, if I dedicate my life to having a foundation of truth and also loving myself through the truth, I become more sensitive to when someone is lying. Why? Because I make sure that my inner meditation and my higher self, that we are understanding that we want to live authentically. We want to live in the truth. So when something that's not vibrating has a vibration of truth, we're able to recognize it, whether it be within our own thought processes or externally. So if someone wants to live in a lie, wants to live in deception, they become extremely obvious and apparent because we are constantly creating our reality. Okay? We're constantly creating our reality. So when something is not vibrating to the same frequency, you're able to recognize it fairly quickly. That is the point of discernment. Okay? That's how you fine tune your discernment. Right? You know your principles, you know the things that you value, so you can always recognize when that is not when it's not present. And there's no need to argue. There's no need for conflict. Generally, there's no need, because spirit always does the heavy lifting. Okay? So the greatest advice right now is to stand your ground. Know what it is that you are trying to create and give your time, energy, and attention to particularly that thing. Okay? What has your soul decided to do here? What is your purpose here? Okay? That is what we're looking at right now. We're looking at your purpose. Okay? I'm going to read the book, but I also want to go in with the divinations, the energy readers oracle deck. This is a deck that I created myself. If you guys would like to purchase, hit me up. We're going to go in a little deeper with this reading. Okay? I want to talk about this temptation. Okay, so once you decide what direction you're steering your ship, I see let that shit go in the cut. Once you decide what direction you are going to create, your old versions of yourself or the shadow parts of you that don't want for you to separate from that existence, okay, may try to tempt you to go back. Like if you're saying, I don't want to think negatively anymore, right? You may get an influx of negative thoughts, whether it be externally or internally, that's going to try to keep you going down the same cycle of, because they want power in numbers and resonance. Okay. But if you can always break the cycle whenever you decide to. It's your personal choice. Okay. I'm also seeing healthy vessel, right? That part of the spiritual strength requires for your vessel to be in tune to a particular frequency. Okay. So if you know that you're trying to have a healthier mindset, a healthier body, you have to be able to do the things physically that support that spiritually, because it's a constant feedback loop. Spirit happens first and then the physical happens later. Okay. But there's a constant communication that's going on. So if you need to vibrate at a particular frequency, you can't be eating foods that are also on a particular frequency. And again, I'm not saying that you have to do this all the time, because life has to do with waves. What I'm saying is that if you're trying to come from this state of being to this state of being, there's things that are also required for you to answer when the spirit calls you and tells you, hey, get up right now, go work out. That you physically make that you physically take that message and turn it into an action. Hey, you can't eat that right now. You need to eat foods like this, because we're setting up a resonance at a different frequency right now, and we need your body to be able to support that. Okay, so you may need to take foods that are lighter in density, but high in nutrition. Okay, so, and that could look like anything. You gotta still honor your body. Okay, you still have to honor yourself. So if you're saying, like I said, you want to have a healthier mindset, have a healthier vessel, that is what you're making here physical. Okay. To get off the plane of deception and envy, you guys, like I said, you got to reach to the frequency of love. Okay. Because deception and envy has to do with a lack frequency. So if someone's not doing that for themselves, like I was saying earlier, if they're operating from a state of lack, or they're not providing themselves the things that's required to feel love, it's easier for them to stay in the frequency of deception and envy, because if they're watching other people do it for themselves, they're like, well, what the hell is going on? Why am I not, why do they get this thing and I don't? It's because you're not providing that thing for yourself, and you have the power to. Me, what you're waiting for? Okay. I did hear that earlier about missing the ship. You have a particular ship that we're trying to get you on. All right. So you could flow through these waves of this earthly experience. So we're giving you an invitation to join. That's, I heard that. They're giving you an invitation to join. You just got to avert your attention from certain temptations that's keeping you low. Connect. Let me rock, let me rock non-stop. Come rock the boat, baby. All right? All right, so you got oneness, divine oneness. Let me have my fun. And don't take this too serious. Oh my God, look at this. Hold on, DJ. Hold on. All right, look. I need you to understand that both negative and positive things require for us to live and move through this earth. Okay? So I'm not saying that you cannot partake in things that lowers your frequency as far as food or drinks. I'm saying that you have to be able to do both at a particular times. That's what I'm trying to say. Right? There's certain things that happen, like I said, that keeps you on a particular frequency, again, of lack, But if you keep on just feeding yourself negativity, you won't be able to rise. You're going to be trapped in that frequency until you decide, yes, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to do what I have to do to get back into a positive state of being so I could actually move forward. All right. And when you're going to meet people who you're going to be able to travel the highs and the lows with a clean heart. Right? Where they don't exist here. They're not taking you down here. Okay? They're not taking you so low that you can't get to the frequency of love and fulfillment and knowing that you're always abundant. Regardless of the negative polarities that come your way. Do you see? That's the difference. So if you know, there's, like I said, there's some people that you can drink with, that you can get low with, right? And there's some people that you can't, okay, because their low is too low. All right, and the realities won't be able to merge together harmoniously. All right, so this is what I want to show you guys, is that we have both oneness in the negative and oneness in the positive. Okay, so oneness in the positive, yin and yang meet. Okay, positive polarity. We are in balance. Have you ever met someone who reflects your light and dark elements perfectly? Being your authentic self has attracted your soulmate, a true member of your soul tribe. When you are balanced amongst balanced individuals, the universe is your playground. When you are balanced amongst balanced individuals, the universe is your playground. All right? And then we also have yin and yang meet in the negative polarity. Okay? You will attract your opposite polarity as you ascend in consciousness. How you navigate these interactions will determine what you will experience in your next karmic cycle. Your existence is not a threat to me. My existence is not a threat to you. Say this mantra anytime you experience an entity or spirit of jealousy, hate, anger, confusion, or deception in your auric field. Okay, so like I said, negativity, these energies are just existing, and it can be embodied by anybody at any time. Okay, it's not something that we're like, we're not afraid of it. We're not demonizing it. It's just they have to exist, but you got to protect your own spirit. You got to protect yourself against these energies, because we're not victims here. Okay. So by the time it even comes up in your vicinity, physically, you already know spiritually something happened in spirit. And it may not have anything to do with you. This is, like I said, we're interacting with people here. All right? And since we're interacting with people here, these things positive and negative just has to exist. All right? I hear negative thoughts all the time. I just choose not to embody them. All right. And someone who is in a vessel that's not doing they're not having the certain boundaries for their own vessel, they are easily inhabited, they easily embody these negative thought forms, especially if they're not doing the spiritual cleanliness part of this whole thing. Okay. So in the ether, there's negative and positive thoughts that's just in the air. What you choose to embody in any particular time is on you. It's a choice. All right. Okay, let me take a break. All right, guys. I really am thinking there's an invitation for you to leave a particular paradigm and for you to experience a more aligned life. Okay? One in which you actually do want what's best for yourself. Okay, so I'm feeling that you're getting an invitation. This is an invitation, okay, for you. All right? All right. From the Angels of Abundance deck, straight out of here, release jealousy. So I could be talking to you in particularly because you could be tempted with wanting to be envious of other people. Okay? If you're watching this right now, it could be your frequency. What are you lacking that you can't create for yourself? Jealousy is an affirmation that you don't have something that the universe manifests exactly as you affirm. Where are you lacking something? I keep saying that. Let other people's success inspire then rather than frustrate you. If they can have it, so can you. All right? Thank you. You know, what who wrote this? Doreen Virtue and Grant Virtue. Thank you. All right, for backing up the message. I appreciate the frequency. All right, so if you're tempted to go on social media looking what other people have and wondering why you don't have it or how come they can have it, you're creating your reality just as much as they are. All right, so just as how we can look at you and be happy when you are successful doing something, we invite you to also be happy when other people are doing their own thing. All right, get out of this versus it's either me or them mentality, crabs in a barrel mentality. All right, it could be a time for you right now to have a quiet retreat. It's time to disconnect from the outer world so that you can discern. Woo. Oh, okay, we have Tanzania in the house. Okay, it's time to disconnect from the outer world so that you can discern and process your true thoughts and feelings from your inner world. Create this quiet time for yourself and you'll have more clarity about what to do next. This has to do with that spiritual strength. Oof. Okay. No, we gotta get quiet now, but thank you. Let's pause this. Thank you. All right. So, clarity about what to do next. This is the part. So, if this is you, if you have this frequency right now, okay, you got to be honest with yourself, right? If this is the temptation, is that you're constantly comparing yourself, having verses like, this is better than that, this or she's better than that, I'm better than her. As soon as you start hearing things like that going on in your brain right here, I want you to take off everything. Not your clothes, okay? We're talking about the TV, your phone, put everything away. All right. And I want you to say, your existence is not a threat to me. My existence is not a threat to you. Okay. I strive to have a balanced life. And I use my time, energy, and attention to create the life that I want so that I can be satisfied and experience the love of God. That's it. All right. You don't got it, has nothing to do with anybody else around you. This is all you, baby. It's all you. All right. Is there anything else from here? I want to read what stand your ground is from the other. All right, I'm just going to take these two. Deservingness. You are a beloved child of God like everyone else, and you deserve to receive the support that will allow you to focus upon your divine life purpose. Even if you can't yet recognize your lovable qualities, trust that God and the angels can see how amazing you truly are. That's what I'm saying. All right? It's only you that separates yourself from God. Okay? So, bountiful nature. Spending time in nature helps shift you to a higher vibration and reminds you of God's infinite abundance. Go outside and enjoy a walk or a hike with your pet. Meditate beneath a tree. Garden, sit under the stars, or do some other activity to connect with the limitless vastness. At the end of this video, please get off of YouTube and stop looking at all of this tarot readings and stuff. Try to go connect, okay, with that inner spiritual guidance, like I was saying. All right, we're going to take this last one from the abundance deck, and then I want to read the stand your ground, and then we're going to be done. All right, we're going to say let go of guilt. When you allow your light to shine brightly, you inspire others. Forgive yourself for what you think you've done or not done, and trust that God loves you unconditionally for who you are. Learn and grow from past mistakes instead of berating yourself for them. Okay, so if you'll say you were jealous, one, you're releasing the jealousy, right? Because we understand that not everybody, what you're perceiving externally and then you're comparing it with yourself internally. This is part of maturing. Okay, no one's holding this against you. We've seen, like, when you look at children, they're like mine, and the immaturity. We're giving you the invitation to mature past this frequency. All right, by providing you these instructions and guidance and this wisdom, if you so choose. You don't need to get in a state of guilt, like, oh my God, I was jealous and da 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 da. None of that really matters. Okay? From this point, we want you to move forward with a clearer state of mind so that you can create a better reality for yourself, so you don't have to be jealous. You can be content with the life you're living. Like truth, not fake. Not in illusion. Like, oh, I have to like this because of that, or no. All right. So let's go to what the Seven of Wands stand your ground is, because that's calling out to me for it to be read. And then we're going to conclude this. Okay? Yeah. Don't hold on to any guilt about this revelation. Okay? Many people were deceived by illusions of lack throughout their lives, and then it also led to a state of victimization. We are creating our reality consistently by the thoughts that we entertain and the things that we consume on all planes of existence, whether it be the spiritual, the mental, or the actual physical consumptions. Okay? So let's get to stand your ground. All right. Stand your ground. This card comes at a time when you're being tested and challenged. There may be fierce competition and potential rivals surrounding you in your personal or business life, but know that you have the strength and inner courage to stand your ground, no matter how hard or formidable things may appear. Don't surrender or give up the control you have. Be brave and stay true to your core life values and belief systems, which are your best allies and will help you move forward. It's important to remain clear and focused, for you may have to stand alone and defend your convictions to the end. Maintain your health and stay strong so that you have an ample supply of energy to endure anything, as this could be a long and arduous yet ultimately hard-won victory. Okay? When you are balanced amongst balanced individuals, the universe is your playground. All right? So I think we've done a full circle reading. I know it always seems as if I'm just rambling in the beginning. It's just because when you're about to jump into a frequency, especially for the collective, right, things just start coming in, right? But it always ties in at the end. It always makes sense in the end. And everything that you do, you always notice, yes, is there highs and lows of life? Yes, but everything always makes sense as to why you're experiencing this or have experienced something at the end. All right? We're just patient enough to get there, and we have the divine understanding now that when things are happening, we don't get lost in it. We know that it's happening for a particular reason, a particular understanding. All right? All right, guys. That concludes. Okay. So hold on. I'm going to read the spiritual strength, and then I'm going to be done. Or should I read all of them? They want me to read all of them. Just give me a second. All right. Okay. So we have spiritual strength. This card coming forth to give encouragement and remind you that you have the inner strength to complete whatever you've been working on. This final spirit card represents courage, discipline, stability, and persistence. You may be tired or weary from the struggle, but now is not the time to give in. Instead, tap into all of your inner reserves for that final push to achieve the desired outcome. You've been through so much to get to this point, and even though you may have acquired some scars from the battle, and even though you have acquired some scars from the battle, you are wiser and stronger for it. The entitlement you've gained will be an invaluable resource. You may also notice that you're experimenting with different things in your life at this time. All of these experiences feed your spirit and offer you knowledge for the future. Okay? All right. Once the season is over, you're going to be fine. Like, you're always fine, but I just want you to know that this is just challenges that we go through in order to gain understanding and then literally set up different frequencies of our consciousness so that we can reside there, so that we can literally watch reality change. That's it. All right. So, deceptive and envy. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. This card comes at a time when individuals or conditions aren't what they appear to be. How well do you really know the people around you? Are they telling you everything you need to know? In business, make sure you gather all the necessary information so that you are aware of the understand all the facts before continuing. You worked hard. Don't let others take from you what is rightly yours. Unfortunately, some people may be envious of your accomplishments. This card also represents a time of sudden and unexpected changes, or when plans that you're undertaking may not turn out exactly the way you envisioned. Have a plan B as a fallback strategy to prevent future problems. Use this card as a reminder to be prepared. It's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so I'm just going to change the frequency of a little bit of this stuff reading from the book. Deceptive and envious energy just exists. Okay, like I was saying before, I think the best thing for you is not to focus so much of your time, energy, and attention on it. When you're divinely aligned with your higher self, God, source, the universe that moves through this frequency, you take divinely guided action so that these lower level stuff doesn't get to you. That's why you're shifting. That's why you're getting off a certain plane of existence where you're operating low. When you're not operating on that state of existence, none of this stuff can really make a huge dent in anything that you're creating, because you're moving divinely. You're moving with intention. That's why we're asking you to have a healthier vessel right now, because we want you to ascend past whatever nonsense is there. But if you're already there, let's say you can't stop, let's say you're on the addiction frequency, which is low, right? It keeps you trapped in low, literally the trap. Okay. So, which would lead to victimization. If you don't have the willpower to stop doing something that is keeping you at a lower frequency, or it's tempting you to stay in a lower frequency, that's when this stuff starts happening. Then you start getting into paranoia mindset. You don't need to stay in paranoid mindset if you are literally in connection with your higher self. Because the stuff, like if someone's shooting arrows, they can't shoot that high. You don't operate there. So if this reading is reaching you, and I understand that I don't, for collective reads, it's vast, right? And you're on the frequency of lack right now, right? Let's say the full moon's coming up, and you have not committed to letting go certain things that are keeping you trapping low, at least for the time being. Okay, there's a time and place for everything, like I was saying. Like you can get back on that frequency, but there's certain times in which you can do so. Okay, but right now you're amongst this energy where there's illusions, lies, envy. You're operating in that field of existence, and so the temptation is for you to overcoming these temptations is to allow you to get out of that line of fire, if you will. Okay, which you can do if you're operating with spirit. That's why you got to take off the phone. That's why at the end of this reading, I want you to get off of social media for like a period of time. Okay, the full moon is happening. I'm sorry, the new moon is happening on, I think, Sunday or Saturday. Sunday. So just be mindful of that, right? We're starting a new cycle, so start new. Try your best to stay disciplined for a particular period of time, at least, to get you out of to minimize the effects of this lower level frequency. Okay. Just that simple. Okay? That's it. All right. Lastly, we're going to read the temptation card. This card, this addict. Oh, you see? Look how God be talking. Okay. Through this card, addictions and self-limiting behaviors are being addressed. This is a time when you and someone else in your life may be placing too much emphasis on material, physical world and its pleasures. Even though we're all born connected to the divine source, we have a tendency to pull away from what was once natural. When we become disconnected from spirit, the source that once nourished us, it's often replaced with a different supply or substitute. In other words, the connection then forged with food, alcohol, nicotine, codependency to someone, or even work, hence the term workaholic. Many of us spend our lives trying to fill the void that was created when the link to the divine was broken. We're trying to reconnect you. All right? Where God was supposed to be, you're using other things to find comfort in them, in the physical. We're trying to get you back operating from top to bottom. Okay? And then back up to the top. We're trying to reestablish that frequency, that connection. Okay? The temptation card is calling you to take a harder look at life and ask yourself, where in my life am I suffering from addictive behavior? Is there a negative thinking or behavior that's causing the life force to seep out of my soul? Okay. Are the people and relationships in my life giving me energy or are they draining it? Learn to embrace your fears and all of their doubts so that every situation in your life becomes a learning experience. Gaining the knowledge that the physical world teaches will help you transcend to a higher spiritual awareness. All right. All right, guys. Now, I like it when they force me to read from the book, but like I kind of touched upon all this stuff without the book. But it makes it more clear, it makes it more concrete. Like I said, John Holland, he created these cards to deliver these particular messages. I created these cards to deliver a particular message and also to give you the mantras and the guidance in order to get you out of that frequency. All right? Because once you have that internal meditation going, nothing externally can really mess with you. All right? I'm just being real with you. If you ever go somewhere and you realize the frequency is uncomfortable, as soon as the quicker you can get to that internal tap in and you can recite that thing that actually you have built momentum with. That's why you want to when you're not in the public, you set up a momentum of frequency when you're able to shut everything down and then recite certain things and open up your heart in order to actually allow it to send a signal in the spiritual, so it makes it physical. Working out is one of the best times to program these sayings because your heart rate's pumping, you're in a state of active meditation, okay? And so then you can feed your subconscious mind consciously. All right? Because then you're fully aware that you're creating. You're fully aware that once you leave the sanctuary of your place of residence, or your room, or any place that you have your me time, your quiet time, that you're interacting with the outside world, but you got your internal soundtrack going, playing, because your subconsciousness is what's creating everything around you, regardless of your awareness or not. Okay? All right. But yes, I'm glad that I was encouraged to read all of the cards so that you guys can see the full circle of everything that I've been saying. All right. If you guys would like a personal reading, you guys can hit me up on Instagram. Okay, that's where I'm taking in readings. We can do a live reading. I can do a video record message. I'm doing this because I'm being called to. So whenever this message reaches you, I hope you guys are able to incorporate the wisdom and it become helpful to you, okay? Accept the invitation. Alrighty. I love you guys. I hope that you guys are all doing well. And that concludes the reading.